Good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Jessica Blum here, joining you from the 1011 Now Alert Center. Just a couple minutes ago, learned that it's World Meteorological Day, so happy that to everyone who celebrates. Want to shout out, of course, our Chief Meteorologist Brad Anderson and our great Severe Weather Center team in Brandon Rector, Bill Renschler, and Carmelo Latuca. As I start off this Monday evening, it also kicks off Severe Weather Awareness Week for the state of Nebraska. So we are covering a topic each day this week. Today will be lightning safety. Tomorrow will be tornado safety. We'll talk about preparedness, kind of overall preparedness on Wednesday. And that day will also include the statewide tornado drill at 10 o'clock Central Time. Thursday, we'll talk about hail and wind safety. And then Friday, we'll round everything out with flood safety. So as I join you here this evening, I did want to show you real quickly a good resource. Of course, as we go over this, is the National Weather Service site. But if you click on Eastern Nebraska, it'll take you to the National Weather Service of Omaha and Valley, that forecast office homepage. And at the top, they do have Severe Weather Awareness Week, a great kind of storybook outline on their webpage, kind of going over severe weather. This is a great resource to have, as well as what we'll have on social media and online. But you can see kind of the layout of all those topics each week, and you can kind of get a sense of what National Weather Service offices serve the state of Nebraska and neighboring Iowa, because Omaha and Valley actually serves a portion of western Iowa as well. You'll get a sense for kind of the weather radio coverage across the states. And then there's a lot of other good facts on there and updated tornado numbers from last year for Nebraska and Iowa. You've got a watch versus a warning, things that we're going to be covering throughout this week. Including what I wanted to show you was toward the bottom. Again, lightning safety is our first topic of the day today. So we're going to come back to our graphics now to talk a little bit more about lightning safety. And our first thing is just to kind of talk about lightning in general. Lightning is a giant spark of electricity in the atmosphere. When opposing charges build up enough during a thunderstorm, they overcome the insulating nature of the air and can form lightning. And what's the other part of lightning? Well, thunder that you'll likely hear. So lightning is kind of the part you see, thunder is the part you hear, and thunder can't happen without lightning. In fact, thunder is caused by the energy of the lightning rapidly heating and expanding the air it passes through, creating a sound wave, which we hear as kind of the clap of thunder. So as we talk about lightning safety, you may remember this phrase, but it is something we talk about often, especially when talking about lightning safety, is when thunder roars, go indoors. Because you're not always going to see lightning, but thunder, again, giving the audio and that cue to us that lightning and a thunderstorm is approaching. Lightning can actually strike up to 25 miles away from the parent thunderstorm. So a thunderstorm doesn't need to be all that close. It can spark and strike really a good distance away from the original thunderstorm that we're talking about. So even if it's sunny, you can be in danger if you hear thunder. Once inside, avoid windows and things that would conduct electricity, like landlines, showers, running faucets. Being near water is not really a great thing during lightning and thunderstorms. And once you hear thunder and you go indoors, stay inside for at least 30 minutes, especially talking about sporting events as we get into the warmer months after you hear the last sound of thunder. Most lightning-related deaths actually occur when people are having fun outside, so that's why we tell you when thunder roars, go indoors. What people also don't know is how hot lightning can truly be. Lightning can heat the air it passes through to approximately 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is roughly 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. So lightning can be dangerous in and of itself, because usually, we're talking about what a severe thunderstorm can bring in terms of hail, damaging wind, and tornadoes, but lightning can be dangerous all in and of itself. In fact, talking about lightning fatalities, this is data taken from 2006 through 2025, you'll see these are numbers broken down by the activity people were doing when they were struck and killed by lightning. The most popular is actually fishing, second to being on the beach, kind of hanging out and having a beach day, or even boating and being out in the water. And then followed by farming and ranching, camping, roofing, and then you can see all the way down toward yard work or just being out in the yard. In fact, when we break it apart by gender, 80% of victims that suffer or really die from lightning are usually male. That may come in part due to maybe males being more likely to be outside, but sometimes, women are outside too, but they're only 20% of the makeup of lightning fatalities in terms of that data. In fact, if you go over the last 10 years, you'll see each year men outshot women in dying from lightning by a significant amount. It was only, a handful, if not less than that in terms of women over the last 10 years. It was mostly men. Also, when talking about lightning, there can be a lot of myths surrounding the topic in general, so we're going to cover about 4 here tonight, starting with the fact that lightning never strikes the same place twice. A lot of people say that. Not true. In fact, it will often strike the same place multiple times. And that's why you see a lot of taller buildings try to put up something like a lightning rod to kind of direct or shorten the path of maybe those lowering clouds to direct, the charge and the lightning strike to go somewhere closer rather than, closer to the building where some people may be. Another myth is that you are safe from lightning once you are indoors. Generally, that's true, but you do still need to avoid things that conduct electricity. Like we said, running water, showers, things like that. Third myth tonight, rubber tires on your car protect you. Unfortunately, that is not the part of the car that's actually protecting you. It's actually the metal frame, because if the lightning strikes your car, the metal frame will redirect the current into the ground rather than the tires being rubber. And then the last myth that we're going to cover here this Monday evening is the fact that victims shouldn't be touched because they could carry an electric charge. They actually carry no charge. They just need first aid immediately. In fact, calling 911, a good idea in that scenario. But also wanted to give you a visual as for where a lot of lightning deaths happen in terms of breaking down the numbers. As you can see, kind of the bigger numbers or the bigger circles are the bigger numbers and where it happens more often. So under a tree, that is where a lot of lightning deaths can happen. Out in the water, that's kind of the second. And then close third and fourth are out in the yard or outside just in the open. So usually you do just want to get inside or again, away from things that would conduct electricity. The numbers go down as you get closer to the house because, again, that the lightning's trying to find the shortest direction and the shortest path to find electrons basically of opposite charge, whether that be a positive lightning strike or a negative one. It's searching for its opposite. In terms of sports, we can also break down the chance of, or really kind of by sport, what are your higher sports and the higher likelihood of seeing lightning be a cause of death? It's mostly in soccer, get those open areas, then followed by golf, running, and then baseball, and a shorter, you can see a smaller piece of the pie, football and disc golf. So overall, the odds of getting struck by lightning are pretty small, but they are better than your chance of winning the Powerball, if that puts it into perspective. The average number of deaths in the United States per year is about 20. The average number of injuries can be as high as 180, so it is still important to think about safety when you're working around or during thunderstorms or trying to enjoy the outdoors. This is kind of why we say, again, when thunder roars, go indoors, and why you can see lightning delays in terms of baseball, or we've seen it with football in recent years, especially if you think back to the Akron game. But yeah, the odds of being struck in a given year are very small. But again, winning the Powerball is harder to do than get struck by lightning. So as we round out the topic of lightning safety, it is a great idea to stay informed. Of course, we are here to be your sources for when we expect bad weather to come through Lincoln, eastern Nebraska, much of the state. So if you scan this QR code on your screen right now, that'll take you to download our 1011 weather app, which is a great source. A lot of people ask me about the iPhone app or their phone's weather app, and it's just not giving you local data. This is an app that is a direct source from your local meteorologists it is their sole job to tell you what the weather is going to do, basically as close to your backyard as you can get. So this is one of your best sources. You'll get weather alerts for your location. You'll get the latest severe weather information. We are updating it throughout the day, even in the event of severe weather expected the same day. We do video forecasts, and we'll push those, 3 times a day, if not more. You'll get local hour-by-hour forecasts, of course, whether the weather is quiet or not. We've got easy-to-use radar on there, a 10-day forecast, and this is a great way to submit and be a part of it, your photos and videos when it is safe. So it is certainly free to download, whether it's the App Store or the Google Play Store. But don't always just rely on your phone, and don't only rely on maybe some of those tornado sirens either. There are many good sources for weather information, whether you watch us on TV. This is just talking about us in general, but watching us on TV, we've got social media updates. We are frequently on X and Facebook. We've got the 1011 weather app. We also have our news app too. But make sure your phone has wireless emergency alerts turned on. If you are in a tornado-warned area, it will send you a pretty loud alarm, like an Amber Alert, to let you know that you need to take shelter because you are within a tornado-warned area. You can also, of course, go to our website, 1011now.com/weather. We'll post frequent updates and a weather discussion there every day, if not twice a day. And then, of course, you can get a weather radio. That's a great resource to be woken up in the middle of the night if you need to be, because we know severe weather can strike at all times of the day, including at night, even when we're most vulnerable. So that is covering, again, lightning safety is the first topic of Severe Weather Awareness Week. This will continue through the 27th or Friday, and we'll have topics every day to cover. But now moving into the forecast for this week, again, starting a little cooler after what was a very, very hot day and setting all-time March record highs on Saturday for basically the entire state. You notice the drop in temperature on Sunday. The cooler air stuck with us today. We were below average for your Monday, but we are going to warm up some 20 degrees by Tuesday. We're going to be almost hot again on Wednesday, not as hot as Saturday, but closing in on 90 degrees again, with only a small chance at any rain in the near future. In fact, so dry throughout the middle of this week as we warm up that there is yet again another fire weather watch in place for much of central and especially western Nebraska. This will be in effect throughout Wednesday, if not Wednesday night into early Thursday, March 25th into the 26th. As for your Lincoln Weather Almanac for the day today, though, we did manage to hit 50 degrees after a morning low drop to the lower 20s. We have yet to see any precipitation in quite a while. For the month as a whole, we've seen less than a quarter of an inch and running below average in terms of the precipitation on the year, as well as for snowfall. An interesting thing that we didn't really have a time to look into, but meteorologist Carmelo Latuco was telling me something he wanted to look into over the weekend was how many times do we hit 90 degrees in a year and then see measurable snow after that? Because we know as Nebraskans, we can see snow as late as April, if not. I've seen it in early May in my lifetime. When do we kind of close the books on winter and truly looking at snow? There have been times in records that we've seen measurable snow after 90 degrees. I don't think it was much. Really, like I'm talking about in the 5 instances that maybe we hit 90 degrees fairly early that we maybe saw snow afterwards, if not less than that, in terms of, I think, 187 years that the records date back. So something to keep in mind. We may be closing the books on snow, but don't leave it out just yet. As for your low temperatures across the state, a lot of us were in the 20s in eastern Nebraska, down to 16 in Wayne, though, 18 in Tacoma, 19 in Columbus. I certainly started with some frost on my window, had to break out the ice scraper again. Still got to keep that handy at this time of the year, even though, yes, we were up to 97 degrees in Lincoln. In fact, maybe even 98 degrees on Saturday. I didn't see exactly where we landed on Saturday, but I know it was hot. Low temperatures were closer to 40 degrees in Chadron in the northwest corner of the state, where they also got closer to 70 degrees, high of 72 in Scotts Bluff, but we were just around 50 here in Lincoln, and a lot of 50s really for eastern and central Nebraska to start off this final week in March. Hard to believe that April will begin next week. In fact, April Fool's Day will be next Wednesday. So we are counting down the days, and again, March is slowly closing out, but a beautiful sunset out there as we've seen some more clouds move in throughout the day today. Really throughout this evening as the sun sets, you'll see fairly quiet conditions, but cool conditions. Again, only getting to a high of 50 degrees today. We're still close to 50 degrees. We're at 46 degrees at the 1011 studio as well as at the airport, with a south to southeast wind at around 13 miles per hour. Temperatures are comfortably in the middle and upper 40s. I don't know about you guys, but again, after the day on Saturday and how hot it was nice to feel seasonal temperatures again. Even today being below average was fairly nice to kind of maybe bundle up in some more layers. Not quite ready to put all the layers away just yet, personally. But as you look to the south and west, closer to 48 degrees in Hebron, Fairbury at 47, Clay Center at 47 degrees, as well as Hastings. Some are still in the 60s as you get closer to Wyoming and South Dakota up to the north and west. But there is a south to southeast wind that has mainly loosened its grip, especially in southwestern Nebraska, where they had some wind gusts still approaching 30 miles per hour last hour. You can see only a couple higher wind gusts, if you can call them that, in Ogallala and North Platte being reported at this point. But other than that, fairly quiet. And what we've been seeing for radar returns, again, has been having an awful hard time make it to the ground. We've been fairly dry over the weekend and are still dry. So even though the radar is seeing some precipitation aloft and higher off the ground, really none of that, or very little of that, is actually making it to the ground. So we'll see some clearing skies tonight. It should allow for temperatures to dip into some comfortable temperatures tomorrow morning that I'll show you here in a second. Skycast tomorrow, I think we'll see partly to mostly cloudy skies in the morning, and then a little more mixing of sun by the afternoon. More sun than clouds, I think, by the second part of the day tomorrow, and then mostly clear to partly cloudy skies going into Tuesday night. But your 7-day precipitation potential still is not optimistic. We're looking at a chance for some precipitation to our south and east, and largely way off to our east. And I point that out because that's the better chance to see thunderstorms in the near future as well. We'll bring it back to the severe weather outlook because, as you can see, it's like, why is Jessica bringing this up? Because there is no place in Nebraska outlook for any severe weather by Thursday. This is the day 4 outlook, but it's worth mentioning that it is close by. There is an outlook for day 4 out to the east that covers portions of Missouri into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan. And it's just off to our east. And when I say that, I wanted to point that out because when you're seeing a day 4 outlook and it's in this 15% chance for severe weather, this is likely the area that turns into the level 2 slight risk, with areas surrounding it in a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk. That being said, is Lincoln going to see that? We'll know as we get closer to Thursday, and largely I think with a day 3 outlook we get a little more detail, so we'll have to look into that tomorrow. But breaking that down, as I kind of just mentioned, the level 2 slight risk and the level 1 marginal risk, you're looking at the top 2 categories there. Isolated severe storms, if not scattered severe storms, a little higher likelihood of that largely being off to our east in those states I mentioned. Not here at home. Again, not a great chance at any precipitation in the near future, but a small chance as we get toward the end of the work week. Your Schaefer's Lincoln forecast has us at 44 degrees by 9 o'clock. Quiet evening, but partly cloudy, and still partly to mostly cloudy by the time we're waking up tomorrow. And with those skies clearing out, there's the low temperature I was trying to mention earlier. I just couldn't come up with the numbers in my head. Upper 20s, lower 30s in much of eastern Nebraska, which is just a hair below average. We should be closer to the freezing mark. But then warming up in the afternoon. Again, some 20 degrees compared to today. with some more sunshine, especially in the afternoon. So there's your spread of temperatures from the morning to the afternoon and into the early evening. Still around 65 degrees by 7 o'clock tomorrow night. But yeah, a lot of us are dipping around freezing, if not just below that tomorrow morning. Maybe another night that we could see some patchy areas of frost like we saw this morning. But as for your high temperatures tomorrow, a lot warmer in southwest Nebraska, climbing into the lower 80s. Some will only be in the 60s in northeast Nebraska, but we should climb around 70 degrees here in Lincoln. And then the warmest day, we are really warming toward Wednesday. That looks to be the next hot day over the next several, is where we have upper 80s, if not lower 90s, especially in south central and southwest Nebraska, maybe as high as 93 degrees in Beatrice, closer to home, 90 in York for your Wednesday. And talking about March 25th specifically, this could be enough to set new record highs for that date, too. We are not done setting new records for the year of 2026. We started off really hot, I think, in a matter of 7 days. We'd set like 4 new records at the very beginning of the year, and now we continue to shatter either all-time monthly highs, if not daily record highs, and Wednesday certainly looks to be one of those days where we'll set new record highs for the day of March 25th. Lincoln will be close. We're not forecasting a high yet for Wednesday. I want to say yet because Wednesday has trended warmer as we've gotten closer to that date, but right now our forecast would have it just shy of the record from 1907 of 91 degrees. Grand Island, though, Hastings, Kearney, it would be enough. North Platte and McCook, enough for you to set a new daily record high. So keep that in mind as we work our way toward the middle of the week. As for Husker fans, maybe making a trip down to Houston, I know I was just looking on Twitter and it looked like the ticket prices were getting out of hand again. The cheapest ones I had seen as of this morning were running some $400 or $500 a piece. Ooh, if you're looking, though, to have a good time with other Husker fans as we're taking on our rival Iowa for the third time this year, going to set apart in kind of a rubber match what was a 1-1 kind of tie for us each taking a game away from the regular season. Should be a great matchup. I mean, Nebraska historically never into the Sweet 16. We had never been into the round of 32. We'd never won a game in the NCAA tournament. Now we're 2 wins under our belt. Got to face Iowa to get into the Elite Eight. Should be incredible whether you're heading down to Houston or staying here at home for the Thursday evening game. But those fans heading to Houston, it will be quite warm. Maybe not as hot as Oklahoma City was, nearing 100 degrees on Saturday, but they'll still be in the middle, if not the upper 80s, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, before temperatures moderate a little bit in the upper 70s, I think, by Saturday. But as for your 7-day forecast back here at home in Lincoln, again, we'll come close to within record territory on Wednesday, and then we'll see the winds pick up on Thursday with temperatures in the 70s for a high, 76 to be exact. I wanted to get you the latest on maybe a wind forecast for Lincoln going into Thursday. It looks like, as we have windy on there, that we could be looking at wind gusts between 30, 35, maybe up to 40 miles per hour at times. And that's when we start to introduce a 20% chance for some precipitation Thursday into Friday. And you'll see Friday takes the largest hit in the near future after today being at 50 degrees. We kind of bookend both ends of the work week with 50-degree temperatures. So cooler by Friday with high temperatures in the lower 50s, but then we're warming again through the weekend. And what is the spring game on Saturday should be largely pleasant and seasonal with temperatures close to around 60 degrees for what should be fairly dry conditions as well. Beyond our 7-day forecast, temperatures will gradually warm to the upper 70s around Monday and Tuesday, the last couple days of March before Wednesday. No fools there. We'll have high temperatures in the lower 70s. Your 10-day forecast, again, of course, Wednesday sticking out as the warmer day. What really sticks out to me, though, is in Valentine, they may see a 35-degree dip between Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Highs of 85 on Wednesday come crashing down to about 49 on Thursday. Boy, if your aches and pains aren't flaring up yet with our temperature swings, they will be even more tested throughout this week as we'll see more temperature swings from beginning to end, peaking again Wednesday before falling off again toward Friday, and then warming again toward the early portions of next week. And again, the final days of March. So outside of a 20% chance here and there, Lincoln, Thursday into Friday, we'll have a better chance, I think, at precipitation toward the end of the month is what we're looking at, next Tuesday and Wednesday. And our 8 to 14-day precipitation outlook is favoring some above average precipitation, or at least a chance for it, especially leaning toward the end of the month and into early April. Still looking, though, warmer than average, which, again, would feature, I think, a mainly rain event and maybe some thunderstorms to look out for rather than, again, the S word, SNOW. I would love to throw the snowfall forecasts and the snow graphics away for the year, but you never know living in Nebraska. So wrapping this up, again, temperatures are going to be warmest on Wednesday. That's going to be what we're looking at. Still have some morning lows below freezing Friday into the early portions of the spring game. I know that'll be a cold start to the spring game festivities because that kickoff will be at 11 a.m. So it won't be 60 degrees and comfortable until the later portions of the spring game, if not the end of the spring game into the afternoon. So keep that in mind, Husker fans. But we'll be, again, rooting on the men's basketball team before we talk about spring game festivities. That's coming up again Wednesday evening. I believe tip-off is somewhere around 6:30. Don't quote me on that. I am talking meteorology right now in Severe Weather Awareness Week. Sometimes I can't keep it all straight. But appreciate all of you joining me here this evening. Again, this is just the start of Severe Weather Awareness Week. Be sure to tune in with me each night throughout this week as we cover a different severe weather awareness topic as we go forward in the week. I will say that I probably won't be joining you Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights, but we will have you covered with a stream. I just will kind of transition to cover for meteorologist Brandon Rector toward the end of this week, so we'll be covering some more severe weather awareness in the morning and throughout our shows, of course, throughout this week. So be sure to catch us streaming on your Roku television apps, your streaming platforms, as well as on our 1011 Weather app. In the meantime, I hope everyone has a great Monday night.
1011 News is everywhere. Download